Okay, we're still reading The Eternal Companion, and as far as, I think we're on 256, page 256, the question 3/4 of the way down the page. How does devotion to God grow? Answer. Keep the company of the holy, listen to their teachings, and mold your life after their pattern. But without continence in the practice of meditation, you cannot grasp the spirit of the enlightened ones, nor can you understand the scriptures. Read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and meditate on its teachings. The more you meditate on God, the better will be your understanding of holy books. To hear about the knowledge of God is one thing. To live in God is another. But the knowledge acquired through realization is different from both. If you have the craving for fleshly enjoyments or the slightest desire for name and fame, you cannot reach God. As Nag Mahashaya used to say, it is like trying to row an anchored boat. That's a pretty vivid picture. And getting nowhere. He also used to say, it is easy to get name and fame, but holy is he who can renounce them. Blessed is he who finds association with an enlightened soul. Vain is this life if one does not struggle to realize God. Maharaj, there are some who believe that merely keeping company with the holy is enough. One need do no more. No. Merely to keep the company of the holy is not enough. You must open your heart and ask them to solve your doubts. You must carefully observe their lives and imitate their example. It is a lazy man's attitude to think that all one need do is to associate with the holy. Needless to say, association is also very important, for in their company doubts are removed and pure thoughts are awakened. No scriptures or books can create such pure impressions or transform a man's life as much as contact with an enlightened soul. Another question. Maharaj, Sri Ramakrishna has said that solitude is an aid to spiritual growth. Yes, that is true. But you should retire into solitude only when you have attained some growth in spiritual life. To retire from human society before one is ready is unwise. In this world of time, space, and causation, it is impossible to find true solitude. True solitude lies beyond the mind and the intellect. It is identical with the most tranquil. Therefore, it is better for a beginner to live in the company of holy men. The other day you said that impatience was of no avail, that we should be content to work and wait. Does that mean that we must not yearn to realize God immediately? I must have said that in another connection. Yes, you must yearn to realize him, but do not be carried away by temporary emotions, nor give expression to them. To intensify your spiritual emotions, you must hold them within. If you give vent to them, they will exhaust themselves. Then dryness may follow. The man of true devotion yearns for God without becoming impatient. Even if he sees no light, he will not give up his devotions. Only those who love God like shopkeepers looking for profit will give up if their prayers are not answered immediately. Maharaj, how can we develop yearning for God? When your mind becomes purified by the influence of holy men, and when you practice spiritual disciplines, yearning will grow. Maharaj, how does one attain peace? Peace dwells in the heart of one who loves God. Realize that your life without him is barren. Yearn for him, and peace will follow. When a man finds no peace in the world, dispassion grows within him, and he is drawn to God. The more a man realizes that the world is barren, the more intense becomes his devotion to God, and the greater is his peace. The greater the thirst, the sweeter the water. First create the thirst, and then you will find peace. How can love grow? By prayer, meditation, and the practice of spiritual disciplines. Can a man realize God while living in the world? Is there anyone living outside the world? No, Maharaj. What I mean is this. Can a man realize God if he lives the life of a householder? Yes, he also can realize God, but he has a greater struggle. Should a man renounce the world if dispassion arises? Yes, he should. Once true dispassion is awakened, it will spread like a forest fire. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, when once a man of renunciation is released from the bondage of the world, he never wants to be caught again. He is like a fish that has escaped the net. Is it possible to realize God without a guru? It is, but it is not so easy without a guru. The guru is the one who shows the path to God through a mantra. He gives the secret of spiritual practices. He watches over his disciple and protects him. A guru must be a knower of Brahman. How can one make the mind one-pointed? By practice. Prayer, worship, meditate regularly. Meditation for 1 or 2 hours a day is not sufficient. The longer you practice, the more your mind will become one-pointed toward God. Follow a routine with regularity. The aspirant must begin his spiritual practice by offering mental worship to his chosen ideal, God with form. Then he must meditate on his shining form and gradually let this form melt into the formless. God is with form, he is without form, and he is beyond both. Practice meditation in solitude and silence. Seek God and God alone. Renounce lust and greed and make him your sole treasure. First renounce mentally. Outward renunciation will follow if you detach your mind from the transitory, unreal objects of the world and attach it to God. This is really quite a very, very telling teaching right here, that outward renunciation will follow if you detach your mind from the transitory objects of the world and attach it to God. So it's quite easy. We try to place our mind in God at all times, and everything else falls away naturally. We don't have to try and, exert extremely strong willpower in giving up things. They will detach if we attach to God. Maharaj, what is the meaning of the Vedantic saying, Brahman is real, the universe is unreal? It means that the universe of appearance is unreal. In Samadhi, the universe disappears. If you ask a seer about his experiences, he will say, all is infinite bliss there. There is no I, nor you. There is only existence, knowledge, bliss absolute. The joy of that experience is unspeakable. Maharaj, what is the proof of God's existence? The seer says, I have seen him. You also can see him. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, merely uttering the word hemp does not bring intoxication. Procure hemp, mix it with the right ingredients, and then drink it. And after a while, you would become intoxicated. Watch and wait. Practice spiritual disciplines, and you will be blessed with the vision of God. Sometimes, as I continue practicing japa, my mind becomes blank. What causes that, Maharaj? That is one of the obstacles in the way to spiritual growth. Meditation must be practiced along with the practice of japa. Meditation means a continuous flow of thought toward God. When meditation ripens, there comes absorption, and samadhi is experienced. The joy that is realized in samadhi remains forever. How should I meditate? Please instruct me. Hold the mind fast to the lotus feet of your chosen ideal. In which center shall I meditate upon him? The center in the brain or the center in the heart? Meditation can be practiced in both centers. I would advise you at first, however, to meditate in the heart. But how, Maharaj? Meditate upon him in the center of the lotus in your heart. Maharaj then gave the disciple more detailed instructions concerning meditation. These details can only be learned personally from your guru. But Maharaj, the heart is made of flesh and blood. How can one think of God there? By heart, I do not mean the anatomical heart. Think of the spiritual center situated near the heart. In the beginning, as you think of God within the body, you will think of your flesh and blood. But soon you will forget the body, and there will only remain the blissful form of the chosen ideal. Shall I think of him exactly as he is portrayed in the pictures or images? Let the picture or image be merely an aid in bringing to your mind the living, conscious, and shining form of your chosen ideal. Now, in this, I think we are extremely lucky if you happen to have either Holy Mother or Ramakrishna as your ideal, because we do have actual photos of them. And you can start there, and they will become living. Maharaj, what is really meant by meditating on the meaning of the mantra? What is the meaning of the mantra? It is the name of God. You have a name. If I call you, your form also comes to my mind. Call on the Lord in this same way. Repeat the mantra and at the same time meditate on the image of the chosen ideal. How does one perform japa? By repeating the mantra mentally or audibly. When you are alone, you may repeat it audibly to yourself. Otherwise, repeat it mentally. Maharaj, for the last few days during my meditation, the mantra has appeared in shining letters before my closed eyes. When this happens, the form of the chosen ideal disappears. You must not let the chosen ideal leave your mind. Meditation and mantra must go together. However, your experience of the mantra shows that you are proceeding along the right path. That was an auspicious sign. The mantra is the sound Brahman. How should I begin to meditate on the chosen ideal? First, make your salutations at his feet and then proceed. But as I have already told you, you must perform japa at the same time. The mantra is charged with spiritual power. The truth of this will be directly revealed to you as you practice. How can one get the mind absorbed in God, Maharaj? Practice meditation regularly. The early morning is a good time for meditation. Before you begin your meditation, read devotional scriptures. This will help you to concentrate the mind on God. After meditation, sit quietly for at least half an hour, for during meditation itself, the desired effect may not be produced. It may come later. The mind often grows calm while you are relaxing after meditation, and then spiritual experiences come. For this reason, an aspirant should not occupy himself with worldly thoughts or engage himself in secular affairs immediately after meditation. It may do him great harm. Practice, practice, even though you may not like it. Keep up the regularity of your practice. Even mechanical practice is a great help. Devote at least 2 hours a day to the performance of japam. Sometimes it is beneficial just to sit quietly in a solitary place amid beautiful scenery. Maharaj, what should I do if, while meditating on the form of the chosen ideal, other forms of gods and goddesses appear before me? Such a problem. Recognize this as an auspicious sign. Know that your chosen ideal is appearing to you in various aspects. He is one and he is many. Meditate on your chosen ideal. But if he appears before you in another form, enjoy that divine vision. Gradually, you will find that all aspects are dissolved into your chosen ideal. There are particularly auspicious days favorable for spiritual practice. New moon, full moon, the 8th day after the new or full moon, and days on which special celebrations are held. On these days, devote more time to japam and meditation. Maharaj, the scriptures declare that one should worship the Guru before one meditates. How shall I worship the Guru? First, meditate on him within the heart, knowing that Guru and God are one and the same. Then let the form of the Guru be dissolved into the chosen ideal, and then proceed with japam and meditation. Maharaj, you always insist that I must serve my father. Isn't it better to become a monk and serve you? Indeed it is. But will the mere wearing of the Gerawa cloth make you a monk? You have a duty to perform in serving your sick father. I am asking you to serve your father, my child, and at the same time to continue your regular spiritual practice. Such service will help you in your spiritual growth. Now this is Maharaj just speaking. While Swami Turiyananda and I were living on Mount Abu, we received a letter from Swami Vivekananda just before his departure for America. He wrote, "To devote your life to the good of all and to the happiness of all is religion. Whatever you do for your own sake is not religion." How wonderful is this truth! His words are engraved on my heart. It has come to my notice that some of you think that the part you take in the activities of the Ramakrishna mission is a hindrance to your meditation and spiritual progress, and that Swami Brahmananda and I do not approve of such activities. This belief has no foundation. You do not understand our spirit. No matter how busy you may be in carrying out your duties, you must practice regular japam and meditation. This point I will emphasize again and again. Remember the Lord always, before you begin to work, while you are working, and after you have finished. We have heard Swamiji often say, work and worship. Can anyone in the primary stage live absorbed day and night in meditation? Therefore you must work, but work without attachment and for the good of mankind. If you do not work, evil thoughts and unnecessary cares will occupy your mind. The Gita and other scriptures emphasize the ideal of worship and meditation in the midst of activities of life. I can confirm this from my own experience. Work and worship is the surest way to spiritual progress. You see this disastrous war which is going on. This was World War I, but I don't think there's been a time when there hasn't been a disastrous war going on. Out of mere patriotism, men give up their wives and children and all their pleasures and sacrifice their lives for a worldly cause. Yet you, who have given up hearth and home, renounced all sense pleasures and surrendered yourself at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna for the sake of a noble ideal, the good of mankind, and the realization of God, you want to avoid a little work. Swamiji used to say to us, if you think you're wasting your life in doing good to others, let it be wasted. You have wasted many lives before in vain things. Why not waste one more life for the good of mankind? But I'm telling you that your life will not be wasted. You will realize God through work. In performing jopam and meditation, sufficient time and favorable conditions are important, certainly. But those who are inclined to practice spiritual exercises will do so under all circumstances. Those who complain of lack of time or suitable place can never make any progress in this life. Cultivate the habit of constantly remembering God, whether you are idle or engaged in work. This is applicable to anyone, anywhere. This tells all of us how to do this. This constant flow of thought toward God is meditation. Neither time nor place nor circumstances need be taken into account in this practice. Plunge in. Oh, the joy of it. If you once taste that joy, everything else will lose its savor for you. Why are you afraid of work? Work for the Lord, but do so with a steady mind, whether it be a great undertaking or a simple one. It must be done with utmost care and attention. Those who are steady in secular work are also steady in their spiritual exercises. To work in the proper manner, you must have a profound regard for your work, and at the same time, an indifference to its fruits. That seems quite contradictory, doesn't it? A profound regard for what you're doing, without thinking of how it's going to turn out. Whether you're going to get praise, whether you're going to get blamed, whatever's happening, but to do everything perfectly. All disinclination for work can be overcome if it is dedicated to God. It is when this secret is forgotten that the mind becomes disturbed. With a disturbed mind, you will not succeed either in spiritual life or in secular work. Certainly it is easier to do a noble deed for the sake of name and fame. But by such deeds, a man's real value cannot be measured. To know the real man, examine his daily actions, for it is his everyday actions which reveal his true character. A true karma yogi will lose himself heart and soul in any undertaking, even though it is of a very menial kind. He is never motivated by the least desire for popular approval. If you work and forget God, egotism and pride will overpower you. Therefore, I tell you, never forget God, no matter whether you are working or sitting idle. To maintain this attitude, you must keep up your spiritual practices, no matter what happens. I think we may, well, let me see how long the next question is. Okay. Maharaj, I have tried in various ways to control my senses, but I have not succeeded. How do I do this? If you merely say, I will conquer lust, I will conquer anger and greed, you can never conquer them. But if you can fix your mind on God, the passions will leave you of themselves. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the more you move eastward, the further you are from the west. Call on God and pray to Him. Then the objects of sense will no longer attract you. Your way of practicing jopam and meditation is very superficial. If you practice casually, devoting only 1 or 2 hours a day to meditation, you cannot find God. Lose yourself day and night in His contemplation, in singing His praises and glory. Only then will you be blessed with His vision. Dive deep, my children, dive deep. Do not waste your time. I think when he says this, you have to remember how he is also saying, just think of God no matter what activity you're doing. This is a kind of meditation, so it's not just sitting down for more than 2 or 3 hours a day. It's the constant remembrance. In the primary stage, the aspirant should slowly but steadily increase his hours of meditation. Otherwise, if because of a momentary enthusiasm, he suddenly tries to increase his hours of meditation, he will find the reaction difficult to bear. He will become depressed, and then he will lose the power to meditate. It is a difficult task to lift a depressed mind and turn it back to spiritual practices. God's grace is supreme. Without it, nothing is achieved. Pray to Him unceasingly for His grace. Prayer is efficacious. He lovingly hears your prayers. Hold on for a little while. Do not give your mind up to objects of desire. You must exercise great self-control in everything. Objects of desire, they will follow you like slaves. Then, through His grace, you will find you have no desire for them, nor will you feel any attachment to them. And I think we will stop there for this afternoon. I had asked people what they might want to read next. Two people have come forth with For Seekers of God. So I think Eternal Companion might last maybe another week and a half, and we will start For Seekers of God. If you don't have the book, I'm sure you can get it. I'm sure it's still in print. Any questions or comments on what we're doing? Is everyone staying safe with all across the country? Are you okay, Leanne in Texas? Okay. Lots of rain. Okay. All right, then I think Friday we'll have our regular gospel reading of Sri Ramakrishna at 5 o'clock. Huh? Saturday. I always say Friday. I don't know why. No, we don't need a Friday class. Saturday we will have our regular reading of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. 5 o'clock, Zoom, in the temple, and on YouTube. And Sunday the 29th, Swami Satchamayananda will be speaking on the doctrine of avatars. Okay. I hope, and this is something I don't seldom do, but I hope all of you caught Vedarupananda's lecture last Sunday. It was exceptionally good on basically regularity and karma, and from the mental point. It's an excellent lecture. Okay, we'll end with a chant. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpana.